All right. What is up, everyone? I got my guy, Ethan Lauchart, here today. We're going to talk about some cool stuff, and I hope you enjoy it. So welcome, Ethan. I appreciate you being on the pod.
Of course. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
And this is also the first pod that I've done with both of us, two people in the same room, in this environment.
Right.
So if the lighting or something is not super great, then it is what it is. I know Ethan from baseball. We played baseball together at state. And, I was thinking about, I was like, we both got our college collegiate debut.
We did, didn't we? Down there on that snowy day in, was it Wilson, North Carolina?
Yeah, come closer.
Yeah, Wilson, North Carolina. It was, I'll never forget that. That was fun. First time
freezing.
First time I ever got to pitch in college. It was snowing outside. It was early March probably. And there, Wilson Taub Stadium.
Dude, it was our southern trip.
Yeah.
And it was a blizzard.
Yeah.
And that guy that was pitching to us, he was throwing 90 plus.
Yeah, I remember.
Didn't he end up getting drafted?
Yeah, he did. He put I can't remember the team. It was one of those Pennsylvania teams. But he was no sleeves. I remember that. It was like 30 degrees, 27 degrees, something like that.
He had wind.
Sleeves.
He had the wind blowing white snow into the batter's face as this guy is pitching a white baseball straight at us. It was, but I think we barely lost that game.
Yeah, it was tight. I mean, that guy shut us out, but because he was.
I think it was like 1-0.
Yeah, but it was fun. I remember that was the first pitch I threw for my college career was a pop up to foul territory, and first baseman Phil Mant caught it. I was I was pretty nervous. I was out there shaking, not only because it was cold, but just because the adrenaline and all that stuff was flowing too. So I was pretty nervous.
When you got that first out, you're probably like, "Oh, this college thing's a breeze."
No, not at all. I mean, I had a long road to hoe before I found success. So,
no, that's not true. If I remember that year correctly, you were one of our better relievers.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that was
ERA, and then you were one of our better relievers while I was there.
Yeah, freshman, I think I threw like 19 or 20 innings, and I had like a mid 3 ERA, 3.5 or something around that range. But I mean, that was because of attrition. I felt like we didn't have a lot coming out of the pen my freshman year.
Bruh.
It was rough. It was
like you and
Render, Murphy, and Tyrell Panner. That was
Tyrell.
Yeah.
Shout out Tyrell. That man wouldn't do anything over break, and then all of a sudden he'd come out throwing a splitter and two. I mean, it would be just all over the place. He had some nasty pitches.
Yeah, and I never saw a pitcher being able to field so well, just be as athletic as he was. I mean, it was a wonder just watching him take ground balls. Love seeing it. So.
Yeah, and I say this with all respect, but the man had a dad bod.
Yeah,
never
unassuming.
Would never do anything, and then would just come out there and shove, like it wasn't a big deal. Yep. And we would be in a tight game, and he would come in and pitch like the 6th and 7th inning, or I think we were still playing 9 innings. It
was like we played a 7 and a 9 on both days, which was brutal. Those days lasted so long.
Oh my gosh! And then we would have. And then what would they bring us for in between the games?
It'd be like
peanut butter and a banana.
Yeah, or they would go to Walmart and buy a bunch of great value granola bars or protein bars, whatever. You're basically eating chalk. It was bad. Or the classic peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in between games.
Dude, it was rough. Shout out Tucker for doing that. He was terrible at it though. He was in charge of bringing us our in between game snacks.
Yeah, wasn't the best. We weren't the best fed in between games sometimes.
Oh my gosh, no, we were horribly fed. You know what? We were well fed on road games.
Yeah, we were. We definitely got what we wanted, and that's one thing that we were never short on. It was always, you go to your Taco Bell or wherever it is, your Wendy's, and Coach Floyd was always like, "Yeah, just get what you want, anything you want, as much as you want."
And it was like the best was when we went to Chick-fil-A.
Oh yeah,
or Chipotle.
Yeah, Chick-fil-A was always like 2 sandwiches and a nugget. You eat the sandwich, there. Eat some of the nuggets, and you take the other sandwich on the road. Yeah,
or you take it back to the hotel and just you have a little surprise food for later. Although they would be getting us pizza.
Yeah.
Well, road games were nice. The home games is like you would think that we would have like a feast.
Except your senior year. Remember we had all those food in between games,
Yes.
stuff like
Well, that was
that.
because Phil Mant's dad.
Yeah, no, but someone had like a whole like spread for us. You remember? It was like all kinds of stuff because remember Sean got real mad, like there ain't no, he's like, there's no more macaroni in between games. That's why you guys can't win the second game, like yelling at us and stuff.
We did. It was always a second game.
Yeah,
too.
we split every time our junior year, and that we could have been really good that year, and we just didn't finish the way we should have. But
no, we were definitely struggling, and
that was our junior. Yeah,
that was my senior year.
That was yours. Yeah,
your junior year. But yeah, you would think that home games throughout the course of my baseball, not just until my senior year, would have been nice. But it was like state progressively, baseball wise, is just continuing to get better because the year right after I left, you guys got a sponsor from
Rawlings. We got a Rawlings deal. Yeah, and
of course, right when I leave.
Yeah,
and the year after you left, NCAA changed the rules to where now student athletes can get money from sponsors.
Yeah, and then the year after, like my COVID year. So we won our MEC championship. We were like 32-10. Yeah, we won the MEC championship. We were 32-10. By whenever we went to our regional game, which we ended up losing our first one to Millersville. I think it was 3-2. But we were ranked 25th in the nation. And then now the NCAA, did you see that? They just came out. Yeah. Now we're ranked 23rd in the nation.
Yeah.
So
and I love how UC isn't on there. University of Charleston.
Yeah. Well, I think they were on there, but they were ranked like 35th or 33rd or something down there. Yeah.
Bump them, man. They don't deserve to be on
fans
there.
of those guys across the river, but
yeah, it makes no sense anyways why they get so much love in the MEC.
Yeah, I mean, they had a couple good years.
But this recent year, didn't they have a bye in the tournament?
No, well they had an automatic in where they
that's
hosted,
what I meant. An automatic in.
Yeah.
It was like after we won
because they wouldn't have made it otherwise because they're the way that the Atlantic region works. There's not going to be two teams like just selected out of the MEC. One, like whoever's a conference championship winner is going to win it, but it's just because the PSAC is just so loaded with teams. All of them are good. So yeah, if they wouldn't have hosted the regional, they probably wouldn't have made it in without winning the MEC.
That's no, definitely not. I was annoyed for you guys, and when I was watching you guys play, and I was going, and I drove up to Beckley to watch you guys play, and I saw the championship. That was sweet.
That was the pinnacle of my college career, probably.
No, the best part is seeing you like, once you guys got back from regionals and whatnot, your arm. What it could only been like this far.
Can we give them the setup of how it happened?
Oh yeah.
Yes. So I had a really good regular season. I think I was like 6-0 going into the conference tournament. I think 6-0 going to the conference tournament. So I got the ball game one. We playing Alderson Broadus, and
should be oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have my best stuff at all, and I got absolutely shelled. Those guys, they had my number. I mean, I couldn't get anything by them. And so I kind of like didn't have the best game. I came out and I was like super disappointed in myself. I remember whenever Sean came out and got the ball from me, I looked at him and I said, "I'm so sorry." And I just walked back to the dugout. It's funny now. Like I can laugh at it now.
You were
hurting. At the time, it was despair.
Yeah.
I was like, I ruined this for us. But anyways, I kept us in it. I think I threw 4 innings. I kept us in it. I think we ended up losing that game by like 2 runs. So it wasn't as bad as what I thought, but still, conference tournament time. I mean, you've been there, you know how it is. It's like, it's every single pitch just matters. Every out, every at bat, everything matters just that much more. But anyway, so we had to fight our way out of the losers bracket. I'm trying to think. I think we played Wheeling Jesuit next, who we actually split with during the regular. No, we lost both of the games during the regular season too.
Yeah,
we just had a real rough first we had 2 bad innings. I remember that because when we played in the regular season, they kicked us around the first inning of the first game, and then we were winning the whole time the second game, and blew it in the last inning. But we ended up beat West Liberty. Then that got us to the conference championship game. I started the conference championship game. No, I didn't. No, I'm sorry. A freshman started, didn't get out of the first inning. They brought in Jacob Bradley. Shout out to Jacob Bradley.
Shout out JB.
Yeah. They brought him in.
Psychopath.
I think he threw the second or the first,
Baseball
Yeah.
wise, respectfully.
Yeah,
Baseball wise.
he threw the first inning all the way, I think, till the 7th. I came in the 7th. We took the lead right after that too, because Matt Harrison hit one of the most clutch home runs I've ever seen.
Hey.
And then shout out Matt Harrison. And then I guess I'll plug one more person after this too. Then after that, Andrew Stone also followed that up by just another insulting salt in the wound home run, solo shot, which was awesome. I remember I ran all the way in from the bullpen as I was warming up because I was going to the next inning. Through the last 3 innings, scoreless, and then I started the next game. The second, like, it was a doubleheader because we were in the losers bracket, had to win twice on Sunday. So I started the next game through the first 5 innings there. So I'd thrown it was 12 innings in the matter of 4 days. And what Neil was talking about, my arm, so I can straighten my left arm all the way out, and my right arm, I can't. It's better now, but after that, if you can, I couldn't move it past that point. It was so bad. But yeah, it was rough. I'm sorry I went on that spill.
It's because people, a lot of people, I'm sure, don't understand the toll baseball really does take on your body, and it's not insulting. I think it's just they just don't know, because when you watch baseball, you kind of just okay, you get out, then you go sit down.
Yeah.
Okay, you get a ground ball and you throw it to first, but I mean the toll that it takes, especially on our arms. I mean, my arm is still in a lot of pain just whenever I work out and stuff, and it will never go away. It's just something that I'll have to deal with,
never going to be the same
for as long as I'm alive, because my ligament is still torn. I never got Tommy John. I just got an injection to my arm to get me through the season.
Cortisone?
It wasn't cortisone, it was a PRP injection.
So
right. So what they do is they take your blood and then they mix it with another whatever chemical, and then they inject it right back. And so that's what I got from my senior season, and but it's unless I would have had the Tommy John and been out for 18 months, it was just it's not going to get better, and I'm still not going to get Tommy John. So it's just one of those things I'm going to have to.
Right. Yeah, and people don't realize that pitchers tear their UCLs all the time. That's that's everybody goes through that just about. But catchers are the second most I guess position wise to do it, because you got to think, they're doing just as much throwing, maybe not effort wise, but they're doing literally just as much throwing as the pitcher is, if not more, because they're in there the whole game. So I mean,
they're in there the whole game. They're in every pitch. It's because then I tore I had a slight tear in my hamstring my senior year, and I missed 18 games. Because I was, shout out Matt Harrison, throwing sidearm, didn't know where it was going to go sometimes, and I went, and I think they had bases loaded, and I went to block a ball, complete opposite side of the plate where I thought it was going to end up, and just something popped in my hamstring.
Yeah, I thought for sure you tore your ACL or something, because it just looked bad.
Yeah, it was rough, and it was painful.
Yeah, oh God,
dude. And so, but I ended up coming back, but I missed half of the season because of that. It sucked so bad. Getting hurt sucks. All that to say, it's baseball's not. Although I think it probably is less strenuous on your body than maybe a lot of other sports.
Yeah, it's not as physically demanding.
Yeah, it definitely is pretty rough, especially when you get hurt and stuff. It can definitely take a toll on your body. I mean, look at your arms can't even straighten out.
It's just something I'm gonna have to live with the rest of my life now. This right here just is not a natural motion. That's why softball pitchers, when they can throw all day, or they can pitch back-to-back games and all that stuff. This right here, you throw 60, 70 pitches in a game, you're done for 3 days, 4 days.
Dude,
at minimum.
Well, I mean, you look at Max Scherzer, who was with the Dodgers.
Let's go Mets now.
No thanks. Who was with the Dodgers? I mean, he literally took himself out of his start in a crucial series, potentially going to the World Series, because he was like, I'm ready. I have no gas left.
Yeah.
And I had no juice left, and so he took himself out, which people were mad about, because obviously we're paying him a lot of money and he's a stud. But at the same time, I'm like, listen, if he knows that he's not going to be able to give his A game, then I respect it.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people outside of the baseball, who aren't really who haven't been there, who haven't done that, it's hard for them to understand, or just to realize this guy's actually making a better, more grown-up decision just because he knows that he's not going to be able to put his best stuff out there, and if he does go out there, he's probably going to put the team at jeopardy of winning that game. So I mean, that's just a mature decision, and I definitely I mean, I've had to do stuff like, or I've had to think about that and make those decisions. Like, even though you want it, like you want to be out there, you just know in your heart and in your mind, like, I'm not going to be the best that I can be. And I'm going to put the team at risk of, losing the game because I don't have my best stuff. So,
no, I thought it was like a pretty wise choice. And I am bummed that we're not going to be able to get him. I just don't think not to get too much into like, professional baseball, but I just don't think he's into like the limelight. I just don't think he wants to be in LA. Like, I don't think he's that kind of guy that wants paparazzi following him around all the time. I know, but it's some Mets. Like, it's not.
What does that mean?
It's not the Yankees. Like, if it was the Yankees,
the Mets are about to be the Yankees, dude. My Mets are making moves. What do you mean?
If you're watching this, just know my facial expressions are. I don't disagree that the Mets might be nice.
They're going to be good this year.
Yeah, I think they're going to be good. They might find a way to blow it.
That's typical Mets. I always like to make this comment too. I'm talking about my favorite sports team. There's really only two teams that I like really support, and it's the New York Mets, and I know I'm going to probably catch a lot of flack for this too, but the Dallas Cowboys. So if you think about it, like
another facial expression,
I have like
you gotta watch
on paper like some of the best teams to support, and it's like all the Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl, Mets are going to World Series, and they always they are good this year, and I'm waiting for something to happen because it's just like. But anyways, I'm like always like super pumped up before the season, and then
they find a way to disappoint.
Yeah, like in August, like the Mets were first in the NL East all the way through all the way up until August, or I think it was August, July, and they only won like I think 4 or 5 games in the month of August, and it just blew it. I mean,
they find a way. Well, it's kind. I mean, as a West Virginia fan, you also get used to
letdown,
high hopes, and then letdowns. It's kind of like you just got some teams you just have to watch, just with a level head. Like, it's like when you make your bracket for March Madness, especially as a West Virginia fan. I know a lot of teams can speak this way, but you make two. Yeah. You make 2 brackets. One with your heart, and one with your mind.
Right.
You put West Virginia winning it all because that's what your heart says.
Right.
And then in your mind, you put Duke or Kentucky or whoever actually has a better chance of winning.
Yeah, whoever the team is that year.
It's tough. I mean, I'm a Dodger fan. Thank God we finally got a World Series.
Yeah.
We were cheated out of 2. Yes, 2. Red
agree.
Sox cheated.
Yes. People don't realize that Alex Cora. That's why he wasn't their manager for the past 2 years, 1 year. Yeah. Yeah.
Were you there in the dorm room when we stayed up watching?
Oh yeah, that was fun.
Were you in that?
Yes,
dude. It was so it was like us 3, and I think maybe Brad K. I think he probably went.
Rudy was up there.
Yeah, we watched that full 18 game.
Yeah.
So on the East Coast, it was like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
We were up the whole time watching the Dodgers play the Red Sox in that World Series game. One of the best ever. Yeah. But even looking back, again, it's like they cheated, and the Astros cheated. It's frustrating. So we finally got a World Series.
Yeah.
Which is
congratulations. Yeah, probably not this year though, because I think the Mets they got a good shot. They hired Buck Showalter.
I think they got a good shot. I think they got a good shot.
Yeah.
I think, but again, who knows? I mean, you got teams like the Rays who just every year, the last 3 years are just,
and they find a way to do it with no money.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, that's them signing Wander Franco to that. Was it 10?
That was a fat deal.
Yeah, 10 years.
I can't believe they did that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was super. Because that's just not their mo.
No,
that's just not.
Usually they what's it called? Just for lack of a better word, I can't think of it. Like breed them and then get them out of there because the minor league system's so good.
Yeah,
they get them out there and they just develop them. That's the word I'm looking for. Develop, and then all of a sudden these guys are so good, and then they want a lot more money, and then they leave.
I'm laughing right now because I was thinking about Wander Franco, 20 years old, right?
Crazy.
And then like Juan Soto won a World Series when he was what,
21? I think he was like the youngest or one of.
He's 20 or 21.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I was on the phone with Jacob the other day. We were talking and we were talking about the World Series, something like that. And I was like, yeah, man, that Wander Franco, he's like 20 years old. And he was like, yeah. He's like, what were we doing when we were 20 years old? I was like, we're playing college baseball. He said, yeah, exactly. You were 23 starting an NBC championship game. This guy is 20 years old playing the ALDS or whatever.
Yeah.
Just think about that. Like,
dude, it's insane. It really is insane to think about.
It's crazy. And imagine that. I mean, you just got to, there's like, they have to have a higher level of maturity in some aspects.
Yeah. For sure.
Just all that pressure on them. Like, that just all the eyes on them. Like, that's insane. Yeah. I mean, as a 20, putting myself in their shoes as a 20-year-old. I know this was only 3 years ago, but still, I feel like that's a big gap, 20 to 23. I mean, it's immense. It's crazy to try to think about that.
No, it is. And what was cool about Juan Soto is that he didn't change like his style of play.
No.
Like if you watched him, like even in the World Series, he was still doing his little shuffle and showing up the pitcher after every pitch. Like he was still the fun, exciting.
Yeah.
And I will say this. Yasiel Puig set the pace for all these younger guys.
I never thought of that, but you are 100% right.
He set the pace for all, because when he came into the league with the Dodgers and he was catching balls right here, if you're watching, he normally, for those that don't know baseball, you catch the ball out in front with two hands, right. You squeeze it. You're very professional. Yasiel Puig came into the league catching it like down here, basically just so nonchalant, and he used to get so much hate because he would just have fun.
I mean, but yeah, like he was the hottest thing in baseball.
Oh my gosh, he should have got Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, he should have.
But Jose Fernandez got it.
Yeah,
RIP.
He's having obviously a better career.
No, the one that passed away from the Marlins. Remember that guy? He ended up getting it.
Was it him?
Yeah.
Was he a rookie in 2014?
He was a rookie, so he ended up getting it.
I was thinking, oh wow, that's crazy.
But yeah, so Yasiel Puig should have got it in my opinion. But anyways, all that to say, he's the one that really set the bar of like have fun, even though he kind of did do it in like a disrespectful way sometimes. But I mean, that was just, but now you got like guys like Tim Anderson, and you guys got Javier Baez and all these guys, and Tatis, and all these young guys coming into the league, Juan Soto, who are just playing their game, and everyone loves it and they don't get any hate. And I'm like, that's because of my boy Yasiel Puig.
Yeah. And I wouldn't say I'm a traditionalist when it comes to baseball. I mean, I think there are some unwritten rules, but I think that this is what the game needs in a way.
Oh yeah.
To get, I'm more of like, I hate seeing like the league batting average at like 260.
Yeah.
Or like, you know what I mean? Like everybody's trying to hit home runs, and I get it. It's cool. That's what puts people in seats or whatever. But I was always a big Greg Maddux guy. You know what I mean? Like, I was a pitcher. That I didn't throw hard or anything. So like, that was a guy that I would try to emulate, or just putting it where you want. And it's cool. Yeah, everybody throwing 100 miles an hour, that's pretty cool. I will say that. But in the same breath, it's always refreshing to kind of see somebody like Kyle Hendricks pitch too.
Yeah.
Because like, I'm not saying that those guys, obviously they have a lot of skill. I mean, they really do. But like when you're throwing 88, 87 miles an hour at that level, like you got to know how to pitch. You know what I mean?
And he knows his strengths.
Yeah. And
he knows what he's doing.
And it just shows.
Oh, Hershiser was the same way.
Yeah. I mean, like Tom Glavine. I mean, like all those guys that a lot of success. Greg Maddux. I mean, all of this, like it's super, it's, I guess it's sometimes refreshing just to see that. Or, you see, someone that's trying to think of like really has a really good batting average all the time.
Well, Mike Trout.
Yeah. Whenever he's not hurt.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to see the Angels this year.
Yeah. I think they'll be nice.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully. I mean, what was it like? It was some like crazy stat where it was like the last 10 years or something, like 30 draft picks, something gnarly like that. The Angels have only had.
Well, I mean,
no. All I was going to say is like they only drafted pitchers. It was like something ridiculous like that because the Angels, that's been their, they've never had pitching. They've had Albert Pujols and Mike Trout, and now they got Ohtani and a bunch of other guys that are solid hitters, but they've never been able to like keep their ERA low.
They signed him.
Yeah.
Which, I'm not, as a Mets fan,
sad for the Mets.
Well, no, I'm not really heartbroken about that. I feel like that might be some addition by subtraction, or because.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, you got Max Scherzer. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take that trade. Like, every single day of the week.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think the Angels. I want to see him do good because I want to see Mike Trout win a ring.
I would love to see that, but I just don't think it's going to happen.
I don't know, man. I don't think he's going to do it.
I don't think he'll. Angels. I think he'll be one of those guys that. I mean, I hate to say it, but I think he'll be one of those guys that you look back on like just didn't get a ring.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate, but I mean, he's the one that signed that fat contract with the Angels. Yeah. So I mean, he knows that he's in it for the long run without
I appreciate
pitching.
His loyalty, you know what I mean? He could I don't think he doesn't seem like he's ready to jump ship or anything.
No.
So I mean,
Anaheim's not a bad place to live.
No, I mean, I've never been, so actually I don't know. But
yeah. You've been to San Diego?
No, I've only been to Dallas for this West.
Oh, okay.
So But that was an interesting place too. Went there for work.
Yeah, you went there for work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what'd you get your degree in?
I majored in political science, and I have 2 minors, which are sociology and psychology. And currently, right now, I'm getting ready to finish my master's this upcoming semester in public administration. So
Oh,
yeah, I graduated summa cum laude.
shit.
7, I think GPA.
3.7.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was a state, you know.
Hey, but well, I mean, as a student athlete, again, it's one of those things that not a whole lot of people may understand, especially at a lower level when you don't have people, tutors doing all your
Right.
work.
Yeah.
You're actually having to do the work for yourself. It's pretty demanding because especially at a smaller college, I remember I walked into practice one time and Sean is like he brings me aside, he's like, Aaron, why were you late to class? And I was like, I think I was a freshman or a sophomore at the time. I was like, I wasn't late to class. Sean, like, what are you playing dumb? And he's like, oh well, Doctor, who was it? I think he's like Dr. Hauser.
Yeah.
Emailed me and said that you were late. And I was like, oh, I think it was just like traffic or so, I was like, I think it was traffic or an accident on the freeway. But it was like, especially at a smaller college, these professors are in touch with all the coaches. They know him.
Sean has also been there for 20, 30 years.
A long time.
Yeah, I mean, since the 90s.
Yeah.
And he really always, through my 5 year, big emphasis on education too. I mean, like he made sure that you were squared away in the classroom. And if you weren't, I mean, you're gonna hear about it.
Yeah. And that was his point. He's like, don't let it happen again. I was like, oh, okay, my bad. Yeah. Sorry, can't be late to class. But so there is a big emphasis on academics, especially at a smaller school.
Oh,
yeah. So you're graduating master's this semester.
Yes, correct.
But you're already working full time. Where at?
With Americans for Prosperity, which is a nonpartisan, nonprofit policy advocacy group. Basically focuses on grassroots capabilities, instilling communities within certain areas to create issue salience and to we engage in some elections for supporting candidates. It's a really interesting job. I really enjoy it. It's a great. I wouldn't say it's my first job because I did prior to this. I worked as a policy analyst for the House Health Committee. For the legislature, which was, I mean, it was a desk job.
Yeah, a lot of paperwork.
Yeah, a lot of that, and then there was also a lot of dull times as well, like where you're just kind of sitting around, and I just knew that's not what it was interesting stuff. Don't get me wrong. When I had something to do, like I liked reading a lot of code, which was painstaking, honestly, but it was interesting once you find something like, oh, this could help, and then you kind of give to your counsel or whatever. But yeah, so I was working at it, and I knew that I didn't want to be behind a desk, so took a job with AFP, and basically my position, I'm a grassroots engagement director. So one of my big things is what I have to do is recruit activists and volunteers to like I said, build these communities. It was within like towns, like Rotary clubs, college Republicans, college Democrats. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. But that's crucial too, because you were saying it doesn't matter, right? So you work grassroots.
Yeah. Anybody,
Democrat, Republican.
Yeah.
As long as the issues are relative to what you guys are fighting for.
Which is really great. And we have this thing, where we say we'll work with anybody if for a good cause. Yeah. I mean, AFP is kind of labeled as a conservative or libertarian policy advocacy group, but I know there's several issues where it's like civil asset forfeitures and stuff like that. We're really against those. So we worked with the ACLU on some and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, there's been instances where we worked with the Sierra Club. I mean, so like if we find like an issue or we can align, like we're gonna like team up, because you always you're stronger in numbers. Building a coalition and attacking something is way easier to do than just standing alone. So we're really big on like facilitating knowledge, not gatekeeping stuff. And help like working together as much as we possibly can, and we focus on, which I love. It's one of the greatest things, it's so foreign, especially being in a master's in public administration, which if someone isn't familiar with that, you're basically learning about the bureaucratic process of everything. So it's like top down, everything. Like this is management all the way to the bottom. But we believe in bottom up solutions, which is really cool. So what that means is like, usually people at the root of a problem or an issue within an organization probably has the best answer to fix that solution. But you don't see that in a lot of, big corporate companies and stuff like that. All the solutions come from the top down.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in AFP, like literally everybody is heard. Like every voice is heard, and that's so cool because like and in your ideas, your solutions to these issues are really like actually taken into consideration. So it's really refreshing. Like I said, there would be times where I'd be working with the legislature and I'd do a bunch of research on something like, oh, I think I found something, and then like, hey, here's this, I give it to my superior, and like I feel like it just kind of got put in the desk. You know what I mean? Like it's not looked at again. But like, if I come up with something and I tell my state director about it, like he listens to me and like it's taken into consideration, and it's like it makes me feel good. I mean, like obviously that the reassurance, that acceptance is nice just on a human like level, but it also makes me feel like I'm contributing as well, which is really, really beneficial, I think. So
no, that's pretty amazing to have that type of work environment, especially in politics, where your voice is heard and they actually do care about what you have to say. And it's like it almost feels like common sense, where in the sense of people are listened to. You're looking for the solution. You're not just presented with the problem and then you are looking for one specific answer, and if you don't get that specific answer, then we're not going to listen to anything else, right? They're presented with the problem and you say, okay, I want to hear everyone's solution. And you're problem solving, and that's what's key. That's what's crucial, and especially in politics, where in a world where nobody wants to work together. It is so amazing. And to actually hear that people are wanting to and hear solutions. But all these politicians are so when I'm in office, I'm going to work with the opposite party, and I'm going to fight for everyone, and I'm going to, and it's just baloney. These politicians have no intention of listening to the opposite side. They have no intention of hearing what other people have to think or solution to a problem. What they do is they just check their party platform and they say, okay, I need to stick to all these different things. When in reality, I think an independent or a libertarian, but not even maybe a libertarian, I think just an independent, someone that is classified as independent, not tied down to any type of party, would be the most successful politician.
Yeah, and that's another big thing AFP does too, is like when it comes to like we endorse candidates and we in elections and stuff like that. We're kind of there also to help like them take a tough stand like that, like maybe not go or not vote with their party, or it's a hard vote, and they need, like, we have their back in a way. Like we have their back, so like we want to support these policy champions that we have, and I feel like it's good for them to know that like there's an organization that's like, hey, we support you, like you can like you can do this kind of in a way. So
and that's what's key too. And that's what's been cool about Joe Manchin, although and I have no problem speaking positive about Joe Manchin when he does things that I agree with.
mean, he's like that's I guess West Virginia has been in the limelight the past couple of days politically, and it's honestly very disgusting to me to see how some people have said certain things about our state and the assumptions that they make and the generalizations. It's so disheartening.
But the reason why I bring him up is going back to your point of not standing alone. People are acting as if Joe Manchin is the only person standing against a Build Back Better bill, when in reality there's 50 other Republicans. There's 50 so other funny. Republicans that are voting against it. They're acting as if like Bernie Sanders said, it's insane that he could stand in the way of democracy. It's like, bro, you're
just mad because he's not voting.
You are an insane person if you think that one person, you have no idea how the Senate actually works if you think that one person is holding it up, when in reality 1 + 50, buddy, is a majority of people.
I tell you, there was a tweet that really cracked me up. It was, I forget who it was, and it was some check mark account, it was some check marked account, and it said something like, how is a man that represents a population smaller than Brooklyn, or so, like holding America back, or something.
I think
and I was like, well, like that's the point of the Senate. It's because of I think it was not the Virginia plan, but something one of the founding fathers created. I can't.
I think it was a Virginia plan.
No, the Virginia plan was the House of Representatives because it was a bigger state, and
Okay.
they wanted the representation by population because they wanted more representation.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe it was like the Delaware. It was like, I think it was a Delaware plan. It was James Madison's idea. Delaware was a smaller state, so they wanted to be represented equally, which is where the the birth of the Senate came from.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the point of the Senate, is like that you're represented equally with each member having each state having 2 members to the Senate. So like that's the point of the Senate. That was a stupid comment, I guess.
Yeah, it's a like, well, what it is just a lack of understanding of history and why certain basic norms are there. I mean, you could sit. We hear this all the time. Every time the electoral college is brought up, people are just like, get rid of it. And there's one great saying, I cannot remember who it is, and I know a lot of people have probably heard of it, but when a Republican and Democrat, they come across a fence, the Democrat says, why is this fence here? I want to tear it down, and they start, tearing it down without even, asking any questions. And the Republican comes up to the fence and he says, hey, I wonder why this fence is here. Let's go find out some answers and, actually try and come up with a solution. And maybe it needs to be teared down. Maybe it needs to just remain. And that's a problem. And I hate to, come against Democrats. That's not really my point, but it really is something that you're seeing quite a bit when Democrats, people on the left, don't like something. They're just like, let's change the whole system. Let's tear it down. And it's like, well, there's a reason for something, and let's find out why that reason is, and let's move from there. Let's just not, have a lack of understanding about history and just try and tear down the whole system.
I really think, I mean, just speaking neutrally here, I mean, I try to be as objective as I possibly can when it comes to politics, because it's
because you fall in the middle, and you understand
and
where
most people do.
Exactly.
This is the point I'm about to make, is that like I feel like the DNC is really there. Like I feel like the Democratic Party itself might be in jeopardy, or really just like losing its touch with basic, middle to left people, because like they just get so out there, man. Like their policy platform and that they run on, and I feel like it's just so out of touch with like just middle of the road centrists. Like they just don't. I mean, look what happened in Virginia, which AFP was engaged in that election as well. We did a lot in Virginia, which it was fun to do that. A lot of phone calls, a lot of door knocking. Yeah. But I mean, look what happened there. I mean, like you saw Terry McAuliffe, like just saying outlandish things and just like sticking his foot in his mouth. Like he didn't really give himself a chance.
Yeah, but the key thing that he said was parents shouldn't be involved in the school system, which is just ridiculous. Well, as a teacher, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's something that West Virginia, that was an AFP bill that we passed, was educational savings accounts. So basically what that does in West Virginia is it gives each student in a public school $4,500 to kind of customize their education, whether that be to go to a private school for a semester, take online classes, go to VOTEC, whatever like that. Each student will, and basically what it is, it's the tax dollars that their parents pay. Mm-hmm. Is just kind of given back to them in a like a health savings account. Like you can spend that just on healthcare stuff. This is an educational savings account. This is a transformational policy. I mean, we have probably the best school choice policy in the nation right now. And I think West Virginia is really cultivating an atmosphere right now to be successful in the future. I mean, I know I'm a native West Virginian. I know you moved here. I know your dad's native West Virginian, but I mean, it's probably near rock bottom in a way, but that also makes me really optimistic, because once you're at rock bottom, the only way to go is up. Yeah.
And that's what I talked about last week. I think I said the way to get out of this slump, because that's what people, if to call it anything, that's what people were like hammering. Like Elon Omar, I don't know if you saw her tweet when she was like, West Virginia is 50th in this and 49th in this and 50th in this, and that's why we need free money.
How dare you?
I know she's such a joke. And but my point is like the way to get out of that is not by pandering, not by being condescending to West Virginians. Like we are people that have dignity. I mean, I saw one stat that was like our literacy rate is better than California and New York's. Like we're top as far as like reading comprehension and stuff. I think it was like something else like that. But
can I comment on this as
Oh,
well?
yeah, go
Something
ahead.
we're really good at too. We're also one of the most financially stable states too. We have AA rating on our state bonds, and that's how we funded the Big Roads to Prosperity Act or whatever that referendum back in I think 2018 or something. Yeah, so we're like AA bond rated, which is really really good. So like our bonds will sell in the stock market like that.
Yeah.
So we're also a very very sound financial. I think top 10 or 15 in like out of all the states. That's another good thing West Virginia is.
No,
is
yeah.
in too.
I mean, the thing is that there's so many positives about West Virginia.
It's cheap to live here.
It's so inexpensive to live here. You can afford a house. You can afford to raise your family here.
There's lower taxes.
And we're
trying to get them even lower than that.
And we're trying to get them even lower than that. I mean, right now it's a red state. Yeah. You know, even though Jim Justice was a Democrat and switched over, I'm not a big fan of Jim Justice.
I worked on a campaign against him.
So. Yeah, and I've made a couple of phone calls with you.
Yeah.
So like there are a lot of good positive things about West Virginia. Yeah. And it's only like you said, it's only going to go up.
I think it's going to be a place to be in the next 10 to 15 years. I really truly do.
I think so too. I think it's going to be a hub, especially people that want to get out of California, want to get out of New York. But I think the problem is, and you can comment on this, I think one of our biggest issues is we have to get out of our own way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a term for this. You know what it is? You're going to like this one. Appalachian fatalism. Yeah, think about that. So basically what I think it boils down to is like it's like, oh, if it's too good for us, we can't have that. You know what I mean? It's like we don't feel deserving as a people. And it's sad to say, but no, it's like we need to get out of our own way. Yeah. There's some things that, you know, we need to do to attract more business here. And I really do think we're on the right track. Yeah. I truly do. West Virginia is a hill that I will die on 100%. Yeah. I bleed, you know, gold and blue. I mean, that's a fact. And I guess you've lived other places. My dad's also not from West Virginia. He's a little bit of a journeyman because he's an Air Force kid. But he said, you know, he's lived in California. He's lived in England. He's lived in Florida, lived in South Carolina. He said there's not a place that feels like West Virginia. And, you know, I've been out of the state. I've lived in North Carolina for like 2 summers, basically. I've been to other cities and nothing ever just feels right. I don't know if you can attest to that.
No, definitely. No, I've said this for so many years since I've lived here, and I say this to my students all the time. You know, yeah, I've lived in California and Utah and Arizona. And maybe outside of like Utah, which Salt Lake is a very beautiful place, and Santa Monica is beautiful as well. But I wouldn't want to live in Santa Monica. I wouldn't want to live in LA, especially right now with all the government authoritarianism that's going on right now. Like even Utah has some overreach going on, and then Arizona went purple or went blue in I think in the Senate.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, so it's like. And I mean, I don't know if this is true or not. I haven't seen the whole stats, but people are like, don't California my Texas, don't California my Arizona. And I'm sure that has a lot to do. Yeah,
that's happening. It is.
But, you know, West Virginia throughout there, I say this to people all the time. There's no other place I would have rather lived during, you know, this COVID crisis than West Virginia, because the government, for the most part, left us alone until after Biden got elected.
Yeah, there's about 6 months probably of like kind of like a lockdown, but it was, I mean,
it wasn't really.
Yeah.
It was like, you know, when you would go into a place, they'd be like, can you put on a mask? Sometimes. Yeah. But I stopped wearing a mask in places like back in March of 2020. Yeah. So it was like, and places didn't force it until Biden got elected in November. Then all of a sudden, every gym and every place was being forced to do it.
That was better. Working out in Nautilus, deadlifting with a mask on. I think they yelled at me one time. We were over there, and you know, I'm not a super strong guy or anything, but I had like maybe 2 plates and a 25 or maybe 3 plates, and I'm deadlifting, and I have my mask just hanging off my nose a little bit, and in the middle of my set, like this woman just comes over there. She's like, you need to pull your mask up, as I'm trying to get the bar up. Or maybe it might have been me. Yeah. Maybe it was you or Stoney.
No, they've said it to me multiple times when you're working out. It's ridiculous. And no, not to get into much of the mask thing, because people think it triggers me. No. It doesn't trigger me. What triggers me is the self-righteous belief that all of a sudden the mask is going to save a life, when in reality, all science proves that it doesn't. Okay, but the point is during that time with the mask mandate at gyms, you could literally Google, should I wear a mask while working out? And the first thing that would pop up was from the WHO, which is hailed as the almighty savior of the world, that and the CDC by people from all political sides. It literally said, you should not wear a mask while doing strenuous workouts.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is it's just frustrating. I was like, this is insane. It's not healthy. It's not healthy for people to work out and all that sweat. You're clogging up your airways. It was just such nonsense. But like going back to West Virginia, what do you think are some things that we need to that could really help improve it? Yes, we need to bring business. And one of the things, the reason why I'm asking maybe for a solution is because whenever I talk to my students, and I remember when I was doing civics with them, one of the things I really focused on was when you're presented with a problem, you have to try and find a solution. Right. And that was one of the things that we talked about a lot. I remember giving them an example of, if I have no marker in for my whiteboard and I just scream at them and I scream out into the world, into the sphere, I need a marker. I need a marker. And the kids are just sitting there like, did you go and ask a fellow teacher for a marker, or did you just go and buy one? Like, have you tried to solve your markerless problem? And it was actually during when we talked about it a lot in my class was when Greta Thunberg was just like, the middle school girl that she was, or however old she was at the time, when she was just like screaming into the atmosphere at people like, climate change is whatever. And it's like, okay, yeah, we believe you, and we already know this.
Show us how to fix it.
Yeah. Like, okay, without closing every single coal mine, without laying off millions of people, how do we have a solution for this problem? And no one does. And they just continue to try and find solutions while flying their private jets all around, leaving a carbon footprint that's bigger than Milwaukee. So it's insane. But as far as West Virginia is concerned, we have been in the headlines a lot. People have been, hating on Joe Manchin, hating on West Virginia.
Is good publicity.
Yeah, I agree. But what do you think might be some solutions that West Virginia can do?
One of the biggest issues we face is we have a declining population in the state, which is it's not good. Obviously, I think our population is right around 1.7 million, something like that, and I'm pretty sure in the 50s and 60s we were like maybe like 2.3, 2.4. So like whenever coal was like really booming, we had I think at one point maybe like 6 electoral votes, maybe 7. I mean, we were a swing state. We got Kennedy elected. That was a big thing that helped him get elected. But so we have a declining population. That's an issue. Obviously, I mean, you can't have businesses if you don't have a workforce.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things what would be beneficial is obviously kind of maybe reducing our income tax or just eliminating it. Because then you have people, and we have friends live in Maryland. I mean, their taxes are insane. Like it's so expensive to live in Maryland. And then you could start pulling those people from Maryland and Nova, Northern Virginia, to West Virginia, and you can you can start pulling people in Kentucky. Kentucky has high taxes, high income taxes, and maybe you can start pulling people from Eastern Kentucky and then Southeastern Ohio. So in Pennsylvania have taxes there too. I mean, and people start realizing this is a cheap state to live in, and then you can start having more of an influx of population. And then when you have an influx of population, you have a better workforce. I think I think we're on the right track. Also, educational reform is a big thing, and I think we've kind of like started down that path with the ESA bill that AFB helped get passed. Because you need to educate our kids. I mean, in public school systems. I mean, I went to public schools. Like, I don't know if I was really that prepared to go to college. I mean, sure. Yeah. I mean, like, I'll pat myself on the back.
But you can speak, but that can be said of a lot of every state in the union.
Yeah, that's not just West Virginia. No, but I'm saying like, we need to have an educated workforce. I'm pretty sure the stat, I think in 2017, I think eligible or like 18 to 60 or 18 to 60 year old, I think 49% of those people were employed. That's insane.
Yeah.
49%. That's, I mean, obviously, so less than half of eligible people that are able to work were. That's crazy. But
and now, is that because of a lack of competency at the top, where they're just giving unemployment to whoever asked for it?
I don't know. I don't even really have an answer for that. But that stat just befuddled me.
Yeah.
But another thing too, what I think it kind of hinders or limits our ability to recruit new industry and new business here is we have like tangible personal property taxes and inventory taxes.
Mm-hmm.
So that means like if a company has like a fleet of vehicles or something like that, or if they have a bunch of machinery, they have to pay taxes on that machinery. And a good way to look at this, the results of high inventory taxes, if you drive up Route 2 along the Ohio River. And technically, fun fact, West Virginia actually owns the Ohio River. You didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, West Virginia actually owns the Ohio River.
How do you own a river?
It's just in our pride. Like
okay.
Like the border is West Virginia's.
So
the Ohio River is.
That was a shout out to my climate people. How do you own a piece of land? This is the world's land.
Yeah. So if you drive up Route 2 on the Ohio River, you can look, and there's all kinds of factories littered, or like power plants and stuff like that littered on the Ohio side. And there's a couple on the West Virginia side, but not near the number. I mean, so like you're missing out on all that. I mean, it's the same, water source. That's just two different states, and it's cheaper to do it over there than to do it over here.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So, you're like, this is another one, Williamstown,
sure.
West Virginia. It's right on the Ohio River.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a really small little place. There's nothing really there, but then you go right across.
I've been
there. Yeah. Then you go right
South
across.
Williamson.
Yeah. No, not Williamson.
Oh, what'd you say?
Williamstown, which is up near Parkersburg. It's north of Parkersburg.
Oh, okay.
But Williamston is another good. I mean, there's just nothing. Yeah. There's not really a whole lot down there, anyways. But I mean, it used to be a poppin' place. It used to be one of the biggest cities in West Virginia.
Williamstown.
Williamson.
Okay,
Williamstown. Back to Williamstown.
Okay,
back to
Williamstown.
But no, it's a small, really tiny little place right north of Parkersburg. But then you go right across the river, you got Marietta, Ohio, which is a poppin' little town.
Yeah.
Like, why wasn't that on this side of the river? Like,
and that's the thing.
It's crazy.
That's one of the things too that Charleston alone has 3 colleges here. We have West Virginia State, University of Charleston, and we have Bridge Valley.
Yeah.
And we have a Marshall off campus in South Charleston. And yet, I'm not a nightlife person, and yet our nightlife, is downtown, and it's not
great.
It's not great.
Bad.
It's not terrible. But my point is when you think of college towns, you think of nightlife, you think of places staying open, you think of just an influx and a multitude of young people walking around, and yet you don't see that.
I mean, there's like Capitol Street's cool,
but
like
we should have a bunch of Capitol Streets.
That's the thing. There's only one of them.
Yeah, we should have a ton of Capitol Streets, and I think that's one of the things too. Like when I think of it, I'm like, we need to make it as easy as possible to have a business here.
And it's not in Charleston. It's actually quite difficult.
It is not.
There's a lot of it. I'm not exactly familiar with everything, but I've just heard people say it's very expensive to try to start a business in Charleston. And that's the city. That's the city's fault. That's the city's fault.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like there's like a bunch of like nonsense tax. Like there's a user fee to work in Charleston. It's like $5 every. Like, I mean, I know that's not a lot, but like
it all adds up.
Yeah, and then like
it's just another thing to worry about.
Yeah, exactly. Like paying for parking at the mall. I think that was a big downfall for the mall because in Huntington and Barstow, I mean, that mall is doing great.
Yeah,
but you don't have to pay to park there. I mean, I mean, like I know it's a small thing, but eventually someone's, I don't want to pay $250. I'll just go to Southridge. You know what I mean? Like, or I'll just order it offline. So I think once that mall is gone, Charleston hits rock bottom. Mm-hmm. I think that's when it bottoms out. I think Huntington's at rock bottom right now, so like they're probably going to start ticking up a little bit. But as soon as that mall gets out of the way, Charleston's rock bottom, and I think once they need to develop that into something. I heard someone say they're going to turn the mall into another hotel. I'm like, yeah, you got the Sheraton and the Embassy and the Marriott. Like, why would we need another like luxury hotel? I don't know. But
so some solutions for West Virginia, for Charleston, would be making it easier for businesses to come. One of the things I was thinking about, and I actually spoke about this last week, was how easy, because it's bad when Obama comes to a state to talk about how bad your drugs are. Yeah. During the heart of the opioid epidemic. How do you solve that issue? And that might be coming outside of your expertise.
Yeah, I mean, that's a systemic issue. That's something that kind of was, I think, breeded by big pharma, like just overprescribing.
And speaking of big pharma, isn't it insane how the left is now the ones defending big pharma when for the longest time
that was Republicans?
It wasn't even Republicans. Like we were like staunchly defending big pharma. It was just Republicans were like, hey, business is going to do what business does. That was like the whole ideal, like free market's just going to free market. But now the left is like, I mean, I said this last week, CNN, I know you saw with that, that clip of brought to you by Pfizer coming out of the breaks.
Oh yeah, every single one of them. Yeah.
And people are like, Pfizer is a godsend, Moderna is a godsend, J&J, AstraZeneca, all these different things, and they're the ones. But so, now it's like us people on the right or in the middle that are like, hey, big pharma isn't really
not good. They're not good to West Virginia.
Yeah.
That's the root of the issue, I think. And it's a long road to hoe. I mean, there's a lot of issues, and poverty is another big one. People like, I mean, I've been to Southern. I mean, my fiance's from Southern West Virginia, and I've been down there, and it's hard. I mean, it's hard to see that kind of stuff.
Hard living,
and it's like I don't. It's an odd kind of a sad feeling, and it's beautiful places down there. I mean, it's gorgeous mountains, yeah, and it's just like you see these old towns, and you can see what they used to be. That's one of my favorite things to do too, is drive around West Virginia and see these just little tiny towns, and just see like, man, I bet this place was probably really cool like 40, 50 years ago. You know what I mean? Like it was like, you could see where it had like a little downtown area, and there were shops and stuff. And it's just like, man, that's sad. Like why? Industry leaves, dude. And that's what happens when you like, you kind of it was a fault of ours to solely make or create our economy off of one industry. And that's just, I mean, that's just economics in itself. You cannot have a economy based off of one resource. And coal was ours, which it was good for a while, for a long time, and just now
it was gradually declining. And I think one of the problems is, when Obama got into office, it was like coal is bad, and everyone's like, okay, we can understand where coal is, but at the same time,
how can we transition?
But clean coal is there's actually a thing as clean coal. And by the time it's like processed into the air, it's as clean as it gets.
Well, what makes West Virginia rich with coal? So there's two different types. There's steam coal, which is what powers your power plants like John Amos or Mon Power up there in Morgantown. Like those are the things that's where your pollutants come from. But then there's also met coal. Metallurgic, I think, is the full term. Metallurgic coal. I could be wrong, but I know it's met coal. That is the stuff that burns and melts steel or help create steel. So that's the real expensive stuff, and that's the purest. I'm pretty sure the most richest veins are in Southern West Virginia.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's the stuff that makes the money for West Virginia, like our severance taxes, which I've been doing better now because from my understanding too. And natural gas is also another industry that's, I think, is going to start sprouting up. There's Marcellus Shale all through West Virginia, central and northern West Virginia, and I'm pretty sure I heard a couple months ago that there's another vein or seam of another type of natural gas. It's more towards southern West Virginia. I can't remember what it's called though. So I mean, that's definitely an industry that needs to be deregulated. So we can open up, get new industries, get more jobs and flowing. So,
but all I was saying too is that when Obama was, coal was already on the decline. People were looking at jobs. I mean, Obama really came hard against it. But the problem is that there was no give, right? It was just take, and thousands of people were unemployed, thousands of people lost their jobs. When it happens, it's a cycle. It's like that one little cycle of, I'm fat because I eat because I'm depressed. I'm depressed because I'm fat, and I'm fat because I can't eat. And it's just a cycle until people they lose their job and they turn to other things, and now they can't get a job again. And so it was just like, you created a problem even worse off than it already was, and you didn't present a solution. And you could say, well, it's not his job to present a solution for the state. But when you're taking something away, obviously you would have to give. And his whole thing was like solar panels. Well, you didn't incentivize solar panel industries to even come to the state. And then Hillary Clinton, of course, she lost West Virginia even more than probably she was already going to, because she was like coal. She hated coal. And she actually said that, which is just an insane political move that people, she was just such a bad politician, but it was just insane.
I hate seeing people say stuff about West Virginia, like I hate coal or whatever. Like it's just like, you've probably never been here. Like you don't even know what the people are like. These are the nicest people in the world.
And you don't really even know what coal's doing to the environment. You're just saying talking points.
You're not an environmental biologist. You don't know. I mean, I don't even know if that's the right person to know that kind of stuff, but you're not that person.
You're not that guy. You're not that guy, pal.
Not that guy.
And that's the thing, that's the most hypocritical thing that people are talking about, is, they want to save the environment as these masks. I was listening to a podcast the other day where they said like 2 billion masks were pulled out of the ocean.
And you know how long it takes for them to decompose naturally?
Like 450 years. 450 years. Yeah, we listen to the same podcast.
Exactly. Well, I didn't listen to it, but I just saw it.
Oh, you saw it. Yeah.
I saw clips.
Yeah, you saw clips. But, it was like, and so same people that are throwing their masks into into the water. And one of the climate things that people don't understand too is that if America were to just go completely clean, like without no emissions into the world, we still wouldn't even put a dent inside of a dent on a climate change difference, because China and India,
they don't care. There's no regulation.
There's no regulation. They're the ones that are polluting the air the most, and yet we don't care.
Yeah, and
they don't care about this.
I also saw something about like cargo ships. There's like the 7 biggest cargo ships in the world, like produce more pollutants, and like it was something crazy, like another or a big city or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that's
well,
insane.
People want to make a difference all the way up until it actually affects their life, and then all of a sudden
it's
might
really
actually
easy to make
change
decisions for other people.
Yeah,
you know what I
real
mean?
easy.
Yeah,
and that's what we're seeing. People want to make, and I don't want to make West Virginia sound like it is in a slump and it is going to get better. But I think one of the solutions too is people got to remain. One of the things I talk about a lot is the grass isn't always green on the other side. I remember when I was moving from Utah to Tucson, I was really sad. I think I was like 9 years old. And I remember, I'll never forget, my mom said to me, the grass isn't always green on the other side, which is so true. She said, it's green where you water it. And that was just like, it changed my life, because we ended up moving around quite a bit when I was young. And I tell it to my kids all the time. I tell it to people all the time, because the grass isn't necessarily greener in Ohio or greener in Texas or greener in California, wherever these kids want to move. It's the way it is because people remained in those places and are creating an environment in which people want to fluctuate to, and people want to go to. And for West Virginia to become that hub, people have to have a passion. People have to have a heart for remaining, like you, like me, like other people all around, the guys that we know that are going to remain in West Virginia because they want to see it be successful. And that can only happen by people being passionate about it, by people wanting to see it be better, by people saying, hey, how do we work across the aisle? How do we solve these issues? Because something has to give, something has to change.
Well, in West Virginia, we don't really have to work across the aisle because there's super majority.
I know you. Trump. Well, in Charleston they do. Charleston super.
That is.
I'm not a fan of Charleston's mayor.
Yeah, she spoke at a state's graduation the other day. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I think we don't have to get into that, but it's really just
don't know much about her. But
but maybe outside of West Virginia, one of the things that I think the right definitely has to get better at is appealing to young people.
Yeah, it's not cool to be a Republican right
No,
now.
Not cool at all. You can get beat up for that.
Yeah, and that's sickening. Yeah. That's what I mean. Yeah, that's what kind of kills me a little bit about the left is that they're all for openness and free speech if it applies to if it appeals to them though.
Yeah.
What I mean? That kind of makes me mad. I mean, I'm all for it. I love hearing other people's opinions and that think of things different, because that adds perspective. That does nothing but benefits me. And it's fun to play devil's advocate sometimes. I like to try to argue.
I do with the professors all the time.
Yeah, playing devil's advocate, and it's good. It just broadens your perspectives. It allows you to view things from other people, and hey, every once in a while, you're going to learn something new that maybe helps you as well. And I'll tell you, there's one thing.
And just to add on to that, when you learn someone else's perspective, even if you're a staunch supporter of what you're actually saying,
don't be married to your opinions.
Yeah, don't be married to your opinions. But when you hear someone else's opinion or stats or whatever they might have to offer, you're now better prepared to defend your argument. You're now better prepared to make a stance on what you actually believe, because now you can counter in the future whatever arguments now are presented to you.
And there's something about a good debate with somebody who maybe doesn't agree with you on a lot of things, but you guys can just civilly kind of debate it. Something about that is it's kind of refreshing. It's nice to know hey, I can talk to you because you're not going to get mad at what I'm saying. I'm not going to get mad at what you're saying, and you have some points and I have some points, and we're now going to learn from each other because of it. Because we were able to talk about it civilly. And like I said, people that are super way far on the left, people that are super way far on the right make so much noise, and they launch missiles back and forth at each other that everybody in the middle just doesn't get hurt. Yeah. And that's a big thing too.
Well, that's what I've said for a little bit, is that the minority opinion has the loudest voice. And whether it's on either side, whether it's, the staunch Trump, he can do no wrong people, or the AOC wing of the party, when that's a minority opinion, what she believes, they have the loudest voice because they control the media and they control the narrative.
The hot takes, man. It's people love hot takes. And
they read the headline.
Yeah, that's all it is. And that's a disservice to just the people. I mean, like, you know, I'm obviously not like I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything, but like the media does control a narrative.
Sure.
They,
without a doubt.
Yeah, and they push. It's just so like obvious in this point. It's like that's what makes me think they're just so out of touch. Like they think that they're just on this moral high ground and they can just do whatever they want. And it's like, no, make everyday people realizes the bullshit that you're spewing. I'm sorry, you know, but it is. It's just diarrhea of the mouth. Like, and no one really agrees with it. I mean, there's plenty of people that do, don't get me wrong, but I just feel like a lot of people in the middle are like that are just like maybe don't really have a lot to say so in politics. They don't really have an opinion on it. They're like, that just doesn't sound right. You know what I mean? Just like on an everyday person. So
and that's the thing too. And you got when you said that, it got me thinking too. Like when people are on CNN or Fox News, when they have an opposing opinion, they also have the opposing opinion to that opposing opinion, and they have 5 minutes for both people to get a word out. When in reality, it would actually make sense to have an opposing opinion. Like on Fox News, have someone that disagrees with you and just let them talk.
Yeah.
Like how
don't yell at them.
Don't even try and don't even argue with them back. Yeah. Just, hey, what do you think about this? And just let them talk. Yeah. And don't even argue with them back. And then in the next segment, then you could have someone else that actually agrees with maybe with more principles of Fox News, then have them talk. And then the next segment, you could have both of them on together. Yeah. And all of a sudden, now you're actually having a civilized discussion.
Like don't get me wrong, though. Like Fox panders too. You know what I mean?
Without a doubt. I don't watch Fox.
I
don't watch CNN. I don't watch any TV. I watch clips.
I watch the local news. Like I see what goes on in Charleston.
Yeah, what's going on in Charleston? I follow Charleston
WSAZ.
On Twitter and stuff. Yeah. See what's going on. But and that's the thing. I think if anything's going to change, we have to. And I said this last week. I keep referencing that, but we have to find common ground.
Yeah, you do, and that's
what your advocacy
does. Yeah. Like I said, we work across the aisle. We work with anybody. And I mean, it's just a really great organization. If anybody listening, like would, maybe like to get involved with Americans for Prosperity, you can get in touch with Neil and, he'll put you in touch with me, and we do a lot of stuff, and we'd love to have new people come and check us out. It's a great place to be in. It's a great organization to be involved with. It really is.
Yeah. So, no, I love that. Yeah. All right, my man. I think it's been probably a lot of time. Yeah. But I appreciate you coming on. Do you have if people want to reach out to you just on a personal level or maybe work level?
Follow me on Instagram. It's just Ethan Lauchart, and that's ETHANLAUCHART. Same thing on Twitter. So yeah, if you guys want to shoot me a DM or something like that, if anybody wants to get involved, be more than glad to chat you up and see what we can do. So
because that's like going back to what you were saying earlier. Is it's bottom up. And that's how we're going to make a difference, is people getting involved, people running for school board, people running for mayor, people running for city council, whatever it might be, and having the follow through really to get involved, and not just maybe complaining. I guess I guess I'm speaking to the choir, maybe I should speak for myself too. And actually getting involved. But I appreciate you, man. Thanks for coming on, and we'll have to do this again.
Absolutely, dude. Had a blast.
All right, baby. Peace. Thanks, everyone. See you next week.